Good morning!
I guess it's morning if you're watching it in the morning.
It's Bethany and Dustin with the Flack fam.
Yes. This morning, it's morning here in Honolulu, and we are going to do something we've never done before. We're going on a submarine.
It's called Atlantis Submarine.
Yeah. So it is here at the Hilton Hawaiian Village. You check in right over by where the beach is, which we can show that in a little while, and then we go from there. So when you come to the Hilton Hawaiian Village for your submarine tour, this is where you will check in, right here. It is right by the main pool and before the beach. And they ask that you check in about a half an hour to 40 minutes before you depart. And then when you're ready to depart, you come down this walkway over to that pier and you board a boat. That boat that will take you out to the submarine.
I hope we get to see lots of animals. Sea life. So here is where you're gonna walk through and go to the Atlantis Submarine.
So while you wait to get on this boat that will take you out to the ocean to get on your submarine, you sit here on these chairs.
Do you want me to close mine and open mine so you can see?
No. I don't want you to do that. Anyway, but you wait, but your view is of Diamond Head and the rest of the Waikiki beach property, so it's very nice.
There is Diamond Head. We're gonna hike that one of these days. I can't remember what day. I didn't drink on the beach.
So once we boarded the boat to go out to the sub, we didn't talk much.
Nope, it was so crowded and loud that it made it difficult to talk.
It got even worse once we were on that sub.
So, needless to say, we're going to narrate the rest of our experience for you.
Aw, you guys are so lucky.
If you watch many of our videos, you will have seen one titled Hawaii, Here We Come, where we asked viewers to provide us recommendations on what to do while on Oahu, and use those recommendations to plan our trip. This recommendation came from our friends Bob and Kelly, who also do travel vlogs, as well as fun-at-home mixology videos, and we've linked their channel below, so finish this video and then go check them out.
On our way out to where we would board the sub, one of the captains gave us the history of how Waikiki's ocean landscape became what it is today.
He talked about how at one point in the mid-20th century, Waikiki was primarily made up of private residencies, and one of those residents decided he needed to be able to dock his yacht at his home.
Well, of course, if you have a yacht, don't you want it by your massive beachfront mansion?
Stop. The only problem was that his yacht couldn't pass the reef that surrounded the island. You know, the one that supports the ecosystem.
But hey, he was rich, so he could do whatever the heck he wanted. So he gathered up a bunch of dynamite and blew a chunk of the reef out so that his boat could get through unscathed.
According to the captain, this act and many others essentially wiped out the coral population and left the reef surrounding Waikiki dead.
On a positive note, there are now efforts to grow new coral and restore the reef as much as possible.
About 10 minutes into our journey, we were told to look out along the horizon and look for a large grouping of bubbles because this is where the sub would resurface.
I have to admit, I was hoping for a full Hunt for Red October breach, but this was cool just the same.
We pulled up next to the sub, docked alongside, and waited while current passengers exited the sub.
Well, we did anyway. Others disobeyed the request not to crowd the entrance, but a few groups stayed up on the top deck to leave space for new passengers.
Yeah, it was frustrating the crew, so if you decide to book a trip on the sub, please listen to the crew. It helps things move quickly.
Boarding the sub was quite a cool experience. Actually, if you've been to Disneyland to ride 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, obviously that's Now Finding Nemo, it's just like that. One group enters from the front, the other from the back. You climb down a steep set of stairs, and then you file your way down the sides of the submarine to your seat.
We were the very last two to board on the back, so our seats sat right under the hatch.
We began to dive, and this is where our experience didn't quite ladder up to what we had hoped.
Dive.
Visibility was about 10 feet, and there was so much marine snow that our cameras had a hard time focusing much more than a couple feet out from the windows.
They dove down as far as 102 feet, but mostly hovered around 80 feet below the surface.
The crew took us past Japanese coral trees where they are currently growing native coral to help rebuild the reef, as well as past artificial man-made reefs.
If you don't know what we're talking about, oftentimes a retired ship or car will be sunk to create a place for sea life to live.
We traveled past a plane and an old battleship that the U.S. Navy had used for target practice for years.
While there were a lot of fish, they were hard to see in much detail.
Every now and then we would hear someone shout, "That's a huge fish," and we'd look out the windows desperate to see what they were talking about, but we wouldn't see anything that we would describe as huge or different enough from the other schools that surrounded the structures.
It also seemed like we were on the unlucky side of the sub because the other side saw multiple sea turtles and a decently sized shark.
The crew would always take 2 passes past an area so that hopefully both sides would get to see everything. But that's the thing about sea life, it's moving most of the time, so it isn't always where you've turned around.
Overall, this was a very cool experience, and we can imagine that on a more clear day, it would have been absolutely breathtaking. Unfortunately, that's the risk you take when venturing into nature. It isn't controllable, so your experience is going to be unique, and that might mean it may not turn out ideal.
Yeah, it's about focusing on the positive. We get that. Our positive is that the views of Waikiki and Diamond Head as we traveled to and from the submarine were some of the best we've seen.
We have family and friends that have gone on a submarine tour in the Cayman Islands, Mexico, Maui, Japan, and Australia, and all of them have had amazing experiences. So, would we recommend booking a trip on Atlantis Submarines? Yeah, I think so. If conditions were different, this would have been an amazing experience.
There may be some other things we'd recommend before booking this, but those are topics for a different video.
If you're interested in booking a trip, you can visit atlantisadventures.com.
We'll be back to the service in 3, 2, and 1.
Trips are $148 per adult and $66 for children 36 inches in height and younger than 12 years old.
Sailings depart every hour on the hour from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
We hope you enjoyed coming with us under the sea.
Even though it was cloudy.
Yes, even though it was cloudy. Before you go, why don't you give this video a thumbs up? It doesn't take much effort and it means a lot to us.
You know what else would mean a lot to us? If you subscribed, turned on notifications so that you'll never miss one of our other videos.
Thanks. We hope we see you soon. Bye.